Hey, folks, I'm going to get real with you here. So, in Sue's real life, he just sold a rental property that he's had. And can we turn that down just a bit? Sold the rental property he had in Calgary for about 11 years. Last tenants were there for 10 of it. Phenomenal. They were wonderful, but it was time for me to sell it. Now, it was appraised at $275 when it became a rental, and it sold for $385. Now, the interesting thing is that means that the capital gains is on the difference. The difference between $275 and $385. But the problem is fucking inflation. So here you go. Here's an inflation calculator. $275 in 2013 is worth $355, $570 in today's dollars. So almost all of the profit gained on that sale, which is taxable under capital gains, is a result of inflation. So basically, the government says we're printing a shit ton of money, devaluing the currency, and then when you sell anything after the fact, we're going to tax you on the amount of money that we fucking stole from you. You can come on now.
You know, it's funny. Twos must have known, like, happy to have me back. He's already talking to me. Like, could we turn that down? Could you shut up? All right. Telling me what to do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mashup. We're joined by special guest Shaun Newman. Shaun Newman, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
The disrespect to start Mashup 118, getting told to lower the music. It's a little loud in here. All right. You're a little loud in here. How's that? Mashup
That's
118.
the way I like to be.
Mashup 118. It's happy. I'm happy to be back. Twos. How's Twos doing? Minus trying to boss me around. Yeah.
Successfully bossing you around. I appreciate the fact that you tweaked the volume. It's great. I'll have you get my slippers once you get back.
Volume? Oh my goodness. Turn your hearing aid down, would you? People wanted to hear the music. Twos wants to always talk over it. I'm happy to be back. How's everybody doing? Mashup 118. It's been a few away. Now, I want to make sure I slip this in here right at the start, okay? Today.
That's what I said.
Yeah, who's the new guy? Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, good morning, Twos. Who's the new guy?
Don't know what to do with my hands.
So this is a tryout for this new guy. We'll see if we want to keep him on.
Yeah, I'm doing. Well, the last time I came back on after Vance Crowe, everybody was wondering where he'd went and why this guy came back. Today marks 10 years I've been married to my wife, so I gotta throw that out there right to begin with it.
And you're spending it mashing?
I am.
You couldn't have extended. We couldn't have found one more. We had so many great guests we could have pulled from. We could have repeated any one of those guys.
This is how highly I think of this show and of our community and of you twos, is I needed to be here. I needed to be here at the start of August.
And you're at the cabin right now. And if you spend your anniversary on the Mashup, I feel like you're going to be sleeping on the boat tonight.
I don't think my wife would understand me any other way. This is what I do. And I already took her out for a lovely evening about a week ago for our anniversary. Thank you very much. But it is 10 years exactly today. So
congratulations.
Thank you to my wife for sticking with me for 10 years. She's had to put up with a lot, as I'm sure the audience knows. Anyways, happy Airborne Friday to Jamie Sinclair. Coots 2. 901 days. That's Christopher Carbett, Anthony Olenek. I would suggest, I don't know about you twos on Twitter. Jason Levine seems like he's been there every day. I feel like that's been a good Coots update on the court case that is ongoing. And you know, they've been in trial pretty much every day for all of July and then some, I believe. So that's a good way to keep up to date on it. But 901 days. I retweeted a guy yesterday because you're not allowed to take pictures of the courtroom, and he'd done a sketch of where the prisoners were sitting, and that was interesting, you know. So I think there's some things to pay attention there. And then finally, before we get into any headlines, the Mashup collection. I'd mentioned this.
This is a headline in and of itself.
True enough. This right here. So people have been on us for how long, twos? Pretty much 100 episodes. Hey, are you guys going to get some things? When we did our live shows, we built some t-shirts, but we never put anything online. I got talking to the guys who did or are still doing Dirty Hands Clean Money. I know the one of the owners of it, and he'd suggested this site. If anyone is wondering why we picked this site, he just said, well, it's an easy way to get started. That's how they got their start. So here you go. Here's some of the mashup shirts from weeks past, and then of course the iconic, the white with the mashup and the half a face.
Yeah,
there's gonna be more coming.
They come in different colors too.
Yes,
and I think you're missing the Prodnik one, which specifically had people asking about.
Yes, I'm working on that to put it on there. I was having a little difficulty and I didn't want to rush something and then somebody order it and look like crap. So it will be coming. And Rocky T Bay, hello. And so
and Leanne says happy anniversary.
Yeah.
And she
years.
also said welcome back to you, but I mean that lady, I tell you, Oilers fans.
Here, and I'm gonna put in the comments right there. If anyone's wanting to go look at the collection, I just tossed it in the comments. That way you can just click on the link, go see what all the shirts look like, all that good stuff. Okay. That being said, what are we all here for? We're here not for this pretty face, although I'm sure you're happy to have it back. We're here for some headlines.
You should have been the box head the whole time. I think it's pretty cool. Actually, we should spend another minute saying how cool it is that we finally have a merch store. Finally.
Yes.
And Zane Southgate, awesome mashup collection now available. Let's go. You up to twos. Zane has one of the limited edition 222 minutes white hats. So he's familiar with the
we will make sure we get some 222 minutes stuff up there. I haven't I haven't even had time. You know what? This is Two's fault. We're just going to blame this on Two's.
That is Two's fault. I'm fair. That's fair. I'm with you on that. All right. So Shaun fucked up the music. I haven't added enough to the merch store.
Special Olympics. Where do you want to begin, Two's? Should we start
anywhere? There's no wrong answers because everything about this thing has been a disaster.
We could talk about the water quality, or we could talk about men punching women. I mean, of all the things to be on the national stage, the world stage, right? Human excellence, leave it to Alex Steen. Transgender betting odds for the Summer Olympics. There you go. I don't know. That's about as insane as it gets. I've had Linda Blade on lots to talk about this very issue. She was an Olympian, trains Olympians, what else can you say about this?
I'm kind of out of my depth here because I really don't punch women, but I feel like it's a bad thing.
Then
is that a bad take?
It's not a bad take. Then you have this one predicted they didn't, they were going to use this special air conditioning. I know it's not special, but you know what I mean.
They were basically trying to use heat pumps and then the heat to do cooling, and then the cooling would bring things 6 degrees cooler than ambient, but ambient was 35. So they were able to bring the rooms down to 29 degrees Celsius with heat pumps because they didn't want to do air conditioning. And believe it or not, spoiler alert, folks, the heat pumps really don't work very well.
We might have known that. Then there's this. This is the lighter side of it. This is Olympic silver medalist Georgia Villa is sponsored by Parmesan cheese. So here's some pictures of her, getting cozy.
Right? She's getting in bed with Big Parma.
There's a couple here. Here's the even better one. Look at that one. That's for the win. Cheese for the win.
Do you have any idea how many thousands of dollars worth of cheese she's just sitting on?
And then we've been talking about it for some time. The Seine River. They canceled the first. Basically they canceled Sunday's practice portion of it for the triathlon part, the swimming, because of water quality. Right, they're worried about bacteria. Yeah. This has been an issue for probably the most shocking thing is the headline or in the article is it's been over 100 years. It's been an issue.
100 years.
Don't swim in this.
Just imagine 100 years ago where people would just sleep with bears at night so they didn't freeze to death. And as long as there was like a little bit of rotted meat on a chicken bone, you would eat it. And even then, 100 years ago, they were like, don't go in this river. It's fucking gross. And believe after spending €1 billion on trying to clean up the water in there, it's a no-go. They wasted €1 billion, which is pretty much par for the course with governments nowadays.
Maybe I should do a blue collar roundtable on how to clean up the river. I feel like a few boys give them $100,000 and they'd have that thing looking clean.
Well, you probably start off with a net, like a poop net, and you catch all the big stuff, and then you'd start diverting things around and just filtering as it goes through. Just filter as it goes through.
You know who Macron called? He probably called this guy and asked him if he had any ideas.
Yeah. How can we waste $1 billion? Yeah. So here is Trudeau, throwback to 2018 and to one of my favorite Olympic traditions, calling up our Team Canada gold medalists to congratulate them. Excited to do it again. How would it go if you got a random phone call from Trudeau?
If I got a random phone call? I think I'd be shocked, honestly, if he called me. I have a couple choice words in my head, I think I might say, but I don't know. I think I'd be shocked to hear him speak. How would it go if he called twos?
Well, I'd say, how did you get this number, asshole? And then I would say, what the hell are you doing calling me? This is completely unsolicited. Put me on your do not call list. And like, this is the same thing. Do you remember when the Broncos, when there was the big bus crash, and then Trudeau made a special trip to go to the hospital with all the cameras to be recorded seeing the people in the hospital whose all their friends had just died, and a bunch of them are, can never walk again. And he turned it into a photo op and just showed up unannounced for that. I remember thinking at the time that it would have been great if one of them was like, are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. I can't even fucking walk and all my friends are dead, you tasteless piece of shit. Because that's all anybody in Canada is to him, is just an opportunity to be like, oh, look at this nice thing I'm doing. Oh, look at this nice thing I'm doing. It's the same thing as like when that guy called.
My buttons aren't working on this side. I keep messing things up. I told people on Twitter I'm going to mess it up because I was way too prepared. I'm trying to buzz you, but I can't seem to buzz you. So, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine. For whatever reason, my buzzers, it works, but it's not coming through. Can you hear that?
I can hear it. Okay, here's the other thing. I don't know if you saw. I texted you. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I added a few things. This one happened overnight. Crowd loudly boos convicted child rapist Steven Van de Velde at Olympics. He's yeah. So I mean, you had the opening ceremonies with the tranny people everywhere, and that guy with his balls literally hanging out. Yeah. Which, by the way, every time I make a joke about something, it ends up being a fucking thing in real life. How many times have I talked about the drag queens who just want to parade around with their ball hanging out? And then they literally do it in the Olympics, and now I can't make that joke anymore because it actually fucking happened. And so I get the fact that countries like to incorporate their culture. You had the Chinese. Can
we move on? I get it. Olympics. I want to move on. Twos, you've been doing this slow thing. I've been listening to you with these special guest hosts. This special guest host, folks, we're gonna trim it up. We're gonna make twos speed things up. Come on, let's together.
All right, fine.
We there?
Anyways, the point is they incorporated their culture of dressing like women.
Here's Kamala Harris, who was born in California to a Jamaican and an Indian college professors talking to drag queens in Los Angeles. And weeks ago, black people in Atlanta, or weeks ago, and then Atlanta, she was in. Anyways, regardless, I don't know why my sound is all messed up on my side. It seems like twos can hear some things. I can't hear things. But here's the gist of the story. Twos, she changes.
Here, I got it. Okay.
He's gonna play the sounds.
We are all in this together, and your vote is your power.
And you all help us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
So Tooz is pointing out the change in her speech.
I've talked about this before. Basically, when she's on one end of the country, she talks one way, and when she's on the other end of the country, she talks the other way. It's like when she was with Mindy Kaling, she said that she was East Indian, and then when she's with Jamaican people, she says she's black, and then when Trump calls her out on it, somehow he's the racist. Actually, I guess he's a double racist. That's actually really the only place they can go from all of this stuff. Is not just, oh, he's a racist. Now it's going to be he's a double racist.
Bureaucratic Bitcoin billionaires. During his speech at the Bitcoin 2024 conference, Trump, if president, pledges to form a Bitcoin reserve using the 210,000 Bitcoin seized by the Department of Justice as the core of the new strategic national Bitcoin stockpile.
I have so many questions. Basically, two. One is, if Bitcoin's so secure, how did they get a hold of these Bitcoins?
Well, I would assume they arrested somebody and got their login passwords, right?
Yes, but how did they get them? I don't know. Did they just write them down like on a Post-it note on their monitor?
Possibly.
I mean, I get the fact that a lot of criminals are stupid, but
fair.
You know, and so the other thing is that if they've got, what was it, 120,000 Bitcoins?
210,000.
210,000 at nearly 100,000 a piece. They're going to have billions of dollars worth of Bitcoins, with which, despite the fact that it's decentralized, if a government decided to invest or to use several $billion worth of Bitcoins that they already have, they can control the value of it. They can decide to buy and sell when they want, and it's not going to be definitive, but they can absolutely put their thumb on the value.
This would be interesting to have a guy like Vance on, or one of the other, many, right? I was just at start of the month, July, was in Calgary at the Bitcoin Rodeo, and I'm like, I wonder what everybody thinks of this, because I listened to it. I'm like, this is kind of wild. Like, you expect Trump to endorse it, like Bitcoin is the way. Appreciate your values. We're going to hold some Bitcoin. And then
JD Vance is saying, like, his VP has talked about Bitcoin before. You know what? You're absolutely right, though, Shaun. It would have been great to have Vance on this week instead of you.
The other Randy just won't stop. This story has been going on now for what? 3 months? 4 months?
But it keeps getting crazier. How much of this article did you not know about before? Because there was, I assume a lot of it's breaking, but there's, stuff interspersed in there that we'd kind of heard about a little bit. Basically, this whole other Randy thing, that crazy, weird, like anorexic Bond villain who testified, they found a whole bunch of stuff on the public record that says it was bullshit. He said they had 100 and some employees. Bissonnette said there was only a handful. There's only 5 of them on LinkedIn. And it keeps getting crazier and crazier because he said that it was autocorrect that was changing everything from Randy all the time, despite the fact that they were able to put Randy in Vancouver to speak to these people at the time that the text went through for one of them. And then when everything was going to shit with this company, their warehouse, which was their only physical location, burned down. They were arson, but they were never able to figure out who did it.
Correct.
No charges were laid. Do you have any fucking suspects?
Anderson, so the Bond villain man, denied Bissonnette was involved in the company and said autocorrect caused him to reference Randy 9 times in a text message to a buyer. He also admitted to lying to Global News about the identity of Randy, leaving some committee members wary of the truthfulness of his remarks. On July 17th, in his nearly 2-hour-long testimony, Anderson refused to say who Randy was. He claimed he identified the person, a woman, the media attention could cause her harm. Anderson said Bissonnette was the only person named Randy ever employed at GHI, but he insisted that is not who he is referring to in his text to the buyer. Yeah, this just Yeah, it's just
And
stinks.
then when everything just stops working for them, they just burn the whole place down. But they're still getting government contracts that they're not fulfilling. And so there's 6 different companies that are taking them to court for fraud. This
Correct.
organization. That's a lot. Like if you run into an asshole first thing in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day long, you're the asshole. If 6 different companies are trying to sue you for fraud and you're 50% owned by a liberal minister, and at what point do we say that this fucking stinks worse than that article we're going to talk about in about 10 minutes?
The media is your enemy. Two headlines, sorry. One from Canada, CBC, climate change help enable this deadly heat wave. Now it has hit the Olympics. I don't really need to go into the story. You can guess where that's heading. And then another one out of the States, MSNBC contributor Molly Jong-Fast has apparently locked her ex account after getting obliterated for saying JD Vance only wants white children in America. For those who don't know, Vance's own children are biracial. And wouldn't you know it, here, let's just pull this up so everyone can get a nice.
This is the guy that they say only wants white kids in America. He's doing a pretty shit job of only wanting white kids, as far as I could tell. I mean,
yeah, this, for all the direction that Google supposedly has taken us on and doesn't want you to search for this, that, and the other thing, this took one Google search to find out what his kids look like, or his wife and his kids. I'm like, oh boy, that's a crazy thing to say on MSNBC. Might be why their ratings are plummeting.
Could be why. Shaun missed the thing about the late editions, so we're gonna have a few audibles, and I'll give him shit for not reading them. Race to replace outgoing Elgin Middlesex London MP begins. So they've got a picture of Andrew Lawton, not Andrew Lawton in a podcast studio, just Andrew Lawton sitting presumably from a webcam, like the worst picture they could really find. The race to replace outgoing MP Karen Vecchio is starting. Andrew Lawton posted on social media that he will run for the nomination. Andrew Lawton is the managing editor of True North and the host of the Andrew Lawton Show. He's the author of 2 books, including his most recent work, Pierre Poilievre, A Political Life. He has worked in political campaigns and ran for PC. He was criticized during the campaign for past comments calling for a ban on Islam and for homophobic comments. Lawton says later he was dealing with mental health struggles. At this point, no other candidates have announced an interest in the nomination. Now, I didn't get into the finer points of which one, but he had retweeted this, and he had said that it was it was stuff taken out of context and one that was blatantly false. And they don't appear to have updated it very much. You think about Andrew Lawton and the years that he's spent speaking about everything, politics and current events. And this is what you come up with to advertise that he's running. Incredibly dishonest.
Well, not just leaving out a whole bunch of the story.
Yeah.
Is that dishonest, or is that just not telling the story?
There's no way nobody at CTV doesn't know who Andrew Lawton is.
We're splitting hairs. Fair enough.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Liberals are...
Buzz yourself. Go buzz yourself, Shaun.
Liberals are transparency phobic. I think
yes.
There. All right.
After 150 days, which, by the way, I think it's 30 or 60 or 90, that you're supposed to have an access to information filled by, like that it's the law that they blatantly break all the time because there's no consequence for it. It's
correct.
If there's no consequence for it, it's not a law, but whatever. Anyway, after 150 days, a 2-page briefing for the PM arrives entirely blacked out. Technically, it's grayed out, but yeah. Apparently, grocery affordability for Canadians is a carefully guarded secret. So this is, the letterhead is clerk to the Privy Council and secretary to the Cabinet. Protected B, memorandum for the Prime Minister. Briefing on the state of the economy and grocery affordability. Information. The literal entire thing is blacked all the way the fuck out except for a page number at the bottom. There isn't even a fucking adjective or even just like leave some punctuation in there.
You wonder how
could
bad
just-
it has to be that he just grayed it out. Nobody can see this.
It's so the
Or maybe you
The
just
fact
listen to
that-
this show for a week or two and you realize how bad it is. And you don't need to see what's under the gray.
Well, I'll tell you what the fuck's under the gray. Everything's a fucking disaster. The numbers are way worse than they're actually being reported. And Trudeau is a fucking dipshit. That's probably exactly what was written there. Probably in crayon.
In crayon, you're a dipshit. Yeah. That is one big pile of shit. Talking of shit, a former member of Parliament says racism and hate are to blame for sparking. Wait. There you go. Let's just bring it in here for a second. There you go. There.
Beauty.
Okay.
Beauty post.
I'll go back to
Marty.
this. A former member of Parliament says racism and hate are to blame for sparking an online debate about a viral image of a man appearing to defecate at a gas station, Tim Hortons parking lot in Brampton, Ontario. The image, which has been viewed 8 million times since Monday night, shows a man wearing well, you can see it right there. It's on the old $50 bill. This is there's Marty up north. That's the tweet from him. And then an Ontario provincial police go to a lady's house over her social media post regarding people taking a poo on the Wasaga Beach sand. And that was a huge TikTok video. And the police showed up to her door. So pooping in Canada, across Canada, becoming a very, very hot topic, Twos.
Yes. So Raj Grewal, who's the former Liberal MP who got kicked out because he was basically he had a shit ton of gambling debts, and by way of paying them off, he was giving special access and favors to shady people. And then when that story broke, he had to leave politics. He apparently landed on his feet, though, as Liberals are always want to do, because he claimed to be the guy who owned this complex that the video was taken in, and he said that it absolutely did not happen. He said that it was racism and some other one of the other words. Anyway, but this video, he said, or the picture was photoshopped, and then a video emerged of it happening, and then he said, well, that's not true. Here's the actual video of the surveillance, and it's the guy when he's taking a shit, he's wearing shorts. The video he posted of the surveillance, the guy was wearing pants. So either he shit his pants all the way off, or Raj was fucking lying. Now look, there's been a lot of talk about people shitting all over the place in Canada lately. Homeless people do it all the time. In their limited defense, they're usually fairly discreet about it. Okay? All right? Now, it isn't racist to say that you don't want people shitting on the fucking sidewalks. It's you don't want people shitting on the fucking sidewalks. That's all it is. All right? And yeah, you could make a decent argument that Trudeau's immigration policies have really shit the beach. But here's the thing. My umbrage that I take with this isn't so much that people are shitting out in the fucking open like this. It's that they're not doing it on Parliament Hill.
Renewable crime. Here we go. Well, Twos, this is downtown Calgary.
Downtown Calgary, broad daylight.
They're using a
battery-powered side angle grinder to cut the lock off of a scooter in the middle of the day, downtown Calgary. I think that's maybe Stephen Ave. I'm not entirely sure. And then they cut it off and they just drive off, and people are standing there watching them like, what the hell? You go to all that trouble for a fucking scooter? Like, I'm not saying it's a little bit gay, but they used Grindr to do it.
I feel like
Grindr, Sean.
It was
and it's a
well
scooter.
Done. Well done.
It's a
Well done.
scooter.
It was well done. I feel like I hear a little bit of the Joker coming out. Like, we need a better class of criminal, you know? And that's kind of what you're talking about. And I'm gonna give it to him.
Like you're getting away with this in broad daylight. Set your sights a little bit higher.
Nobody likes Trudeau. Amicus has been regularly tracking how all leaders, especially in tracking with positive and negative impressions of the prime minister have been steadily escalating over the past couple of years, from 44% in 2022 to 59%. These are results of a poll conducted online with over 2,000 Canadians from July 16th to 22nd, I believe, if memory serves me correct, somewhere here. Oh, I thought I had the polling data. I don't have the polling data, twos. Not that it matters.
In all,
Nobody likes
Amicus offered respondents a choice of 11 ways to describe why they were rating Trudeau so negatively. One of the top ones already cited, they included his foreign, social, and climate policies, the sense that he's out of touch, or the regard with which he's held by other world leaders. So everybody thinks he's a dipshit. His policies are junk, and he lives in a completely different world free of consequences. The fact that you've got a fucking minister who burned down his own business to try and get away from multiple fraud cases and conflict of interest, and the guy's like, this whole fucking country is a joke. If you heard about this anywhere else, like, pick a fucking country, except maybe fucking France, this would shut the whole fucking place down.
Get out of jail free card. Sticking with Canada and the absurdity. A convicted criminal serving his nearly 8-year sentence escaped from Edmonton's Stan Daniels Healing Center. Evan Sayer is the 5th inmate to escape the detention facility this year. The 5th. Count them for me. 5.
Yeah,
the Stan Daniels.
One of those has already been apprehended, though. They said,
yes,
Shaun.
yeah. So there's only 4 on the loose, folks. And
it's not the fact that 5 of them got out this year and 4 are at large. We managed
to
detain one of them. Look at us. How about don't let them out in the fucking first place?
Wait, you want the state of Canada? This is the state of Canada right now. And if you're wondering what the Stan Daniels Healing Center is, well, it is a Section 81 facility, whatever that means, operated by the Native Counseling Services of Alberta. These facilities are specifically used to host some Indigenous inmates, where they can be offered culturally appropriate services and programs to offenders in a way that incorporates Indigenous values, traditions, and beliefs. I guess not locking the front door. I don't want to sound
like I'm shit talking Aboriginal culture, but the one thing they were really fucking missing was high walls with barbed wire,
or locking the front door. I don't know, from the outside. You know, like 5 of them have escaped. At some point, you got to go. Are we getting? What are we gonna? Yeah, are we gonna adjust some things?
I'm starting to think maybe we're doing something wrong here.
Yeah. The front door is wide open. Maybe we should close it. We've only lost 5. We got 1. We're only down 4. We'll get it. We'll get it right.
We put up a baby gate. What more do you want from us?
Jasper updates. I tell you, this article was fascinated me, because I had obviously done one with Liam Parfit and Marty up north, and there's a couple more on the planning to do another one too here soon. But this was, I'd never heard of this guy. Rick Solomon, president of Onaway based Firefox Wildfire Incorporate, insists his innovative Alberta-made barricade gel made from locally grown canola could have saved Jasper, all of it, but wasn't given the chance after failing to reach contract terms with the Alberta Wildfire Department stemming from last year's disastrous season. This was a Western Standard article. So I found it was an interesting read. I'd never heard of this gel before. Your thoughts?
Well, I feel like, okay, have you seen that Super Mario Brothers movie?
Yes.
Okay, you know the part at the start where they get an opportunity to save that water leak in Brooklyn that's going to flood all of Brooklyn, and they're like, why are you doing this? They're like, oh, we got to save our community. And they go in, and then they get all that great press when they get back at the end. Wonderful, heartwarming story. It probably would have been quite fucking expensive, but how much incredibly good publicity what these guys have gotten if they'd have deployed that gel and stopped that town from burning down, even if they hadn't reached the contract agreement with the government. Also, it was federal. Jasper's federal. Why are they worried about the Alberta guys? I would just show up and be like, screw it. You know what? Worst case scenario, if we can't get contracts after that, put out a GoFundMe and say, guys, we spent a lot of money on this and we saved some houses from burning down. Can you help us out?
So you would essentially call Rick Solomon and say, hey, listen, next time, take the press and drive up there and start spraying it everywhere and save some places. And the public will be like, what the heck is this? And they'll champion you instead of you going like the government screwed the public instead of just going out and doing it.
And the other thing is that you could say, we've got a bunch of unsigned contracts sitting on Danielle Smith and Justin Trudeau's fucking desk, but the fire wasn't going to wait for them, so we took care of things.
Don't mind that at all. There you go, Rick Solomon. I hope to have him on. Honestly, I think it's an interesting thing. Here's another one. Starting to get some Jasper wildlife updates. This is Lindsay Warner from Jasper National Park. This is Grizzly Mama 222, who's tracked. She survived the fire. Of course, twos can survive just about anything.
Twos are unkillable.
Here she is with her cuffs. I mean, there's been some, of all the heartbreak that's come with Jasper, there's been some interesting images come out of there as well.
It's too bad she lives too far away from that. What was the name of that bear that got hit by the train?
Oh man.
Imagine if that bear and Mama Bear 222 had babies. Those things would be unstoppable.
Super Bear. The NDP are not a serious party. I'm having flashbacks. Do you remember when we did the episode where I was in the broom closet of the hotel and I had like to sweat and I had this one
and there was a bug flying around.
I have a fly flying around my head right now. I'm like, I'm gonna literally lose. Anyways, it just bog.
Hey, let's keep it moving. I get the fact that you had a month off, but we're keeping it tight this week.
We're keeping it tight this week. The Green Line is an 18-kilometer transit system which links the existing red and blue LRT lines and 4 MAX BRT routes. So this is Calgary we're talking about. They teamed up with the ever trustable, the ever just present SNC Lavalin.
Above reproach, SNC Lavalin.
That's right. And then a whole thing has come out now with Naheed Nenshi calling out Kenny, saying, it's because of you, things have ballooned. And then Kenny's going back saying, you're a moron and you're gaslighting everything. It was because of you and that none of this got done in the first place and on and on. Twos, bring us to speed on something that, has had its government touch, meaning it went from like $1 billion cost to 6 times that.
Well, believe it or not, Sean, governments suck at delivering projects on time and on budget. Okay. Jason Kenney is probably mostly blameless in this. Nenshi was probably mad because there wasn't more funding, but there might have been some strings attached. But I would say that at best, this is 95% Nenshi's fault, and he's just trying to deflect to somebody who is no longer in politics. It's like a handy scapegoat. It'd be like, I don't know, if you and me were out in the wilderness and we accidentally burned down Jasper, and then you fell off a cliff. Let's say I accidentally burned down Jasper and then you fell off a cliff on that same trip. I got back to town and I'm like, yeah, it was like the last thing Sean did before he fell off that cliff was like burn down Jasper. Right?
Except I pull myself out of the ravine and go, no, it was twos the entire time. And everybody was like, oh, I didn't realize you're alive. Because obviously Jason Kenney is still alive and can go like, you're an idiot. And this isn't true.
But that's basically what he was trying to do. Is just like he's trying to put the blame on somebody who's off the board.
Fair.
And so that's it. Now it's interesting. They were looking at a cost of $6.3 billion like 8 years ago. And that would have worked out to $41,000 per person. Now, and which, by the way, would have meant that every family of 3 along that line, you could have just given them. It's funny. I literally posted about this back in the day. I said you could give every family of 3 on that line a brand new Tesla Model X and just be done with it. If you're worried about the environmentalism and everything, just give every family a new Tesla X, and that would be it. And then here You've got Peter McCaffrey. The updated cost is now $300,000 per projected rider. For that price, the city could buy each and every rider 2 Porsche 911s or 9 Teslas.
And Eileen Clark says Green Line is an overpriced piece of shit, and they've now signed an NDA, so we don't know the details of the agreement with SNC Lavalin. Corruption at its best. There you go.
How unfathomable is it that you can have an NDA that your employees sign that means they get to keep shit away from you?
If 5,200% markup. I'm just going to show it too. It says a $52. This is Terry John Hetherington on X saying $52 for $1 of natural gas. Theft, I say.
$9.49 administration fee. Cost of gas was $1.04. Subtotal plus GST comes out to $11.06, and then there's a delivery charge fixed, a delivery charge variable, rate riders, municipal franchise fee, federal carbon tax, which by the way was quadruple the gas amount, subtotal, and GST, which of course, as everybody knows, means that now you're paying GST on a tax, which is illegal in Canada, and yet we still do it for some fucking reason. Here's what I don't get is everybody, like Saskatchewan isn't charging carbon tax, or Sask Power isn't charging carbon tax in Saskatchewan. Why the fuck don't these places say, look, it says right here in whatever fucking act we have in Canada that you can't tax a tax. So we're not charging GST on the carbon tax. Here's the amount of money you get. And if you don't like it, you can rewrite our fucking constitution.
Did I mention being down in the States, although has its issues, lots of them. It's been a nice break from not having to just read the stupidity that Canada is doing. Listening to you and other guests talk about it for some reason is quite therapeutic. Having to go back through and read all this junk again, I'm like, frig me. Here we sit, just in complete and utter stupidity. The Liberals sink to a new low.
This is going to be, it's great that you mentioned all of that, Shaun, because this is probably going to be the thing that makes you want to flip over your fucking table.
And then of course you're waiting for me and I am looking for it. Here we go. No.
All right, go ahead.
No, you read. Okay, it's okay.
Okay, I was repulsed. Abuse survivor demands Liberal MP apologize after testimony hijacked in chaotic House committee. MP said they were disgusted by the behavior that drove 2 advocates for stopping violence against women to leave the parliamentary committee visibly shaken, which technically they left in fucking tears. So the nuts and bolts of this is that there was a bunch of sexual abuse survivors who got called to Ottawa to testify about it. So, hey, you know what? This happened and it really sucks. Can you come speak to us in Ottawa about what exactly happened so that we can try and make sure that things like this don't happen anymore? Fair enough. Not a great thing to relive. So they go out to Ottawa and they sit down in front of this council, which is made up of MPs from all different parties. And they start talking about how they got raped. And then Anita Vandenbeld, who looks like a fucking dumb cow, like not just a regular cow, but like, you know, the exceptionally dumb one with the crazy eyes right before the storm hits. She's just the fucking worst. She gets up, starts berating them, bogarts the entire thing, and tries to turn it all about the fucking abortion debate. These 2 women leave. They just get up and leave in tears.
Yeah, I watched. I told you I watched a lot of videos on it because I was trying to see exactly how, like how it plays out. And I listened to the Liberal MP talk about how they were pulled out in summer break to come to this emergency meeting, and they weren't allowed to bring any of their side because the LGBTQ should have had somebody there, and First Nations should have had somebody there, and on and on and on. And I was like, this is really, well, politics at its finest. This seems to epitomize where Canadian politics is at. You have 2 people there who are telling these horrific stories. Instead of just listening to it, be like, man, this is bad. Okay, what can we do about it? They grandstanded, threw it back in the
they totally
conservatives.
Kanye'd the whole fucking thing.
But that's what I mean. Like they totally took over the entire meeting instead of just listening to them, hearing the about what happened, and carrying on with their day. Instead, they just made an absolute debacle out of the entire thing.
Yeah. Like
that
hold up.
makes it.
I'm gonna let you finish this horrible story about the time you got raped, but I really want to talk about abortion right now.
Yeah, I like I said, to me, this is just the state of Canadian politics. This is just it. Like I'm whether we're talking about women getting beaten or something else, who the Randy is, this is exactly Canadian politics right now. You just kind of scratch your head and go, how the heck did we get here? And why isn't it a 99.9% chance that Trudeau does not get in the next election? I can't believe people are still like, he's doing a great job. I don't get it. Don't get it.
All right. Here's Anita Vandenbelt, by the way, for anybody who wants to know. That's her right there. Do you see what I was talking about? Anyway, moving along.
Rocking July. Yeah, you're going to show the video? You show the video. You show it.
Sure.
Yep.
All right. So Eric July, the Rippaverse dude, extremely talented, does all kinds of things for the new Deadpool Wolverine, which we're going to be reviewing next week because neither one of us was able to get to the theater. Anyway, Deadly.
Dude, did you burn down the Backstreet Boys? Holy crap. Talking about blowing my ears out.
Dude, you missed the best part.
Taxation is theft.
At the end of it, taxation is theft. How can you not love this guy? And that's in the new Deadpool movie. And this is the guy who's basically single-handedly doing the only thing in written comics right now that's giving them any relevancy and going concern. It's awesome. You love to see it. It should have almost been the happy news. It probably, yeah, whatever.
It probably could have been happy news. Ah, well. Know your target market. Authorities arrested 14 people as the result of a human trafficking sting operation targeting sex buyers using the San Diego Comic-Con convention to seek out potential victims.
Comic-Con is apparently now a sex tourism event. And like, to their very limited credit, you're going to go to a giant hall filled with thousands of virgins and be like, does anybody want to know what it's like? Anybody interested?
Well played.
Tell me I'm wrong.
John Smith leads a bunch of morons. Okay, so here in the back, He says I can't. I found my new favorite t-shirt on the bottom.
I'll play it.
You play it. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. Kid wearing.
All right.
Waiting on twos. Come on, twos.
Dum 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 dum. Some people will get that. Anyways, that's just a funny little faux pas on live news.
Did you show it?
Yeah.
No, show it again. Show it again. I didn't see it. Play it again. Play it again.
Okay, here we go. For those of us in the back.
Ever. The guy on the right. I can't. I'm a moron. There it is on tape and everything for the direct.
There it is on tape and everything.
I can't. I'm a moron. Actually, that's not what it says. It says I can't. I'm Mormon.
Yeah.
Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
He don't read so good. Vena's way to go. Well, I at this point, I tell you this: if you're not on X, it's things like this that just go like. I agree with Warren Redlich. Never deleting this app.
So, background on this:
sure.
Maduro goes on this big rant about how he's going to fight Elon Musk. Like they're just going to scrap and they're going to duke it out. And then when there's a whole bunch of protests after this election, he goes around telling all the security people, under no circumstances are you to let Elon Musk in here. And so he talks a big game in the press conference, and then they've got video of him going around telling all the security people, if Elon Musk shows up in Venezuela, you can't let him come at me. Because this is what he's worried about while everybody's protesting the fact that they're fucking starving to death and eating zoo animals. And Venezuela is so starved for literally everything that everyone's got belts that are twice as big as they used to be. There's no more fat people in Venezuela anymore. They've eliminated obesity, to its credit, but they have this bullshit election. And Maduro is most concerned about whether or not Elon Musk is going to take space lasers at him. And that's why you're never deleting X. And here's another one. So this is what seems like was probably the actual results of the election, was that Edmundo Gonzalez got 2/3 of the votes, and Nicolas Maduro got 30%. And then Crumsworth, who seriously, for the love of God, come on this show already. He says, still more popular than the Liberal Party. And he's right.
Nice work on the name pronunciations. I'm rather impressed. You know, of all the times we butcher names on here, Two's finally got it right.
There's only one of us that butchers the names on here.
Oh, I heard you butcher a couple.
Yeah, I know. As I'm saying it, I'm like, this is a fucking lie. So anyway, that's what happened. And it seems as though the Venezuela just shut down the damn elections partway through and said, all right, well, you know what? We're going to do whatever the hell we want. And that's it. There was one other one. Oh, shoot. All right. Well, there was one other great picture that I can't find. Oh, also, they tore down the statue of Hugo Chavez. So this is them tearing down a statue of Hugo Chavez.
And that seems to be a thing these days, eh? Tearing down statues.
Yeah, it's just nice that we finally tore down one of the bad statues. Now, I hope nobody ever tears down the Pierre Elliott Trudeau statue that's in Sudbury, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a real shame. Real shame.
I would cry.
Boil water advisories get boiled down. Here, we'll do Kirk Lubomov. I might point out he's coming on the podcast next week. But
finally,
here's his.
How many years have I been telling you to get him on the podcast? And then you text me randomly and you're like, hey, do you know Kurt Lubomov? Do you think you could get in touch with him about the podcast? And I'm just, motherfucker. That's a great idea, Shaun.
It was a great idea. I'm glad you saw it the same way as me, Twos. The Liberals have redefined short-term boiled water advisories on First Nations to fake their progress in helping Indigenous people.
This is the same way that they eliminated, they brought how many tens of millions of people out of poverty by changing the way the statistics get measured. This is the same thing. It's not a boil water advisory. It's just a heated up greatly water advisory. It's not a boil water advisory, Shaun. It's a pasteurized water advisory.
You know, I've been saying this way too much on the podcast lately, but I finished Atlas Shrugged while we were on our 25 days on the road. And I just stare at our world right now, and all I see is Atlas Shrugged. I just even this boil. We'll just change the definition. It's like you could just solve the water issue. No. We'll just change the definition. It'll look like we're doing things. It'll be great. Things are great. We're doing great. Nobody knows who Randy is. COVID is over. I don't know if you knew this, but COVID finally over. Okay, here she is. Okay. BC Public Health Dr. Bonnie Henry announced at the end of the COVID public health emergency and the end of vaccine mandates in BC. There you go.
Effective immediately. This isn't something we found in some archives. This literally came out on the 26th of July.
Correct.
I
can't make this up.
The public health emergency in BC is now over.
I'm going back to the first comment we had. David, he said, "Good morning from Canada's left coast, Vancouver, BC sucks." And welcome to BC, where COVID, I don't know if you knew this, just ended in July of 2024.
Yeah, so maybe next week they're going to release all the Japanese POWs.
Just stop, oil. Just stop already. I'm just going to play the video. I don't even need sound on.
Just don't need sound.
Just watch.
But this is them sitting all over the lineups in an airport with their Just Stop Oil sign. Now, here's the thing that really frustrates me. You got all these people that are trying to walk through and they're intentionally being as disruptive as possible while sitting on the floor that you're supposed to walk through. Just public service announcement, a great way to get somebody sitting on the floor being as disruptive as possible out of the fucking way is to step on their tiny little emaciated soy balls. Just accidentally knee somebody in the fucking nose. Oh, pardon me, incidental contact. You just rock a little incidental contact here and there. Their hands are probably on the floor. Give one of their knuckles a little bit of a squishy squish. See how long it takes for everybody else in that lineup to start doing the same thing. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of gamma males saying, "Oh, please stop. Oh, please get security." And then they're going to get out of the way and they're going to be complaining and whining and crying. And they're not going to be fucking up your flight. All it takes is one guy to start doing it, and everybody else is going to get on board.
Should also point out a British-Canadian couple who were attempting to sail across the Atlantic have been found dead on an island off the east coast of Canada. Horrible news. That's the horse island. Sable Island? The ill-fated voyage was part of what the couple called their Green Odyssey tours, which Clibbery said was intended to show that it is possible to travel long distances without burning fossil fuels.
Yeah, so their solar-powered yacht was unable to, not only did it not get them there, but then they drifted all the way back to where they started from, which probably wasn't that big of a deal because I doubt they got terribly far. I feel like we need more people like this, and this was probably a bad one-off. But we've got all these climate change activists and these people that take this stuff very seriously, and they know, we don't, but they know that wind and solar are the future. And we need more pioneers like this. We need more Amelia Earharts to go on transatlantic voyages with renewable energy to show us how it can be done. And don't let the other people who have died trying the same thing fool you. I believe in you.
I'm trying to buzz you. I hope you hear it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hearing you just fine. That's why I brought up the next headline, Shaun.
Breaking. Taxes are up. The Canadian Consumer Tax Index tracks the total tax bill paid by a Canadian family with an average income of from 1961 to 2023. The results show that the tax burden faced by the average Canadian family has risen compared with 62 years earlier. The total tax bill, which includes all the types of tax, has increased by 2,705% since 1961. And the tax bill has grown more rapidly than any other single expenditure item.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the one interesting little bit of criticism, because everybody gets mad at the Fraser Institute because they're a lot like the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. They point out ways that our money just fucking disappears. And so anybody who likes big government says, "Oh, yeah, well, they're just this far-right think tank." I don't think it's so much that they're far right, it's that they are right. And the one criticism that they had was that they grouped in the taxes that businesses pay in all this to account for all of it. But here's the thing, is at the end of the day, Canadians own those businesses, so they are paying tax on it.
I think it's funny that we're arguing about whether it's 47, whether it's 40, whether it's 42. We're paying an insane amount of tax. Why? Oh, why?
Because if you can split one hair, you can try and discredit the whole thing.
Sure.
They're
sure.
basically
Yeah.
trying to do the Kaczynski defense, where they just want to say like it's the fruit of a rotten tree or whatever, however that goes. If they can disprove one part of it, they can try and disprove the whole thing, rather than just saying, you know what, even if we give you the benefit of the doubt and say it's 2 or 3 points lower, this is still a giant crock of shit. The dog agrees with me.
The dog definitely agrees with you. All right. Renting is so hot right now. A group of Calgarians are pushing the city to develop a maximum heat bylaw as temperatures rise once again. Dozens of people, most stood in the shade of the community's aging apartments, protested the city's antiquated tenant laws. They argue skyrocketing temperatures outside have bled into their living spaces, and landlords have been unwilling to provide proper cool down measures. We want a ceiling of temperature in apartments for 26 degrees, they said.
Yes, and one of them was complaining, saying that their apartment actually offers air conditioning, but it's $200 to install it and then $70 a month to use it. So it's something that they offer that they're just not willing to pay for. But here's the thing, is that even if it gets built into the cost, you're still going to end up paying for it regardless. This is what people don't understand, is it's not as though you're just going to have some magical air conditioning fairy just drop off a fucking air conditioner and then pay your added power bill. Okay.
Somehow when I read this, I actually thought what's going to end up happening is they're going to push on the government. The government say, we'll pay for it. Which
we'll give you heat pumps. They're going to, you know what? We're going to give you more heat pumps. Okay. But here's the thing, is that nothing's stopping any of these people from getting a portable air conditioner. There's a portable air conditioner right around the corner here.
You mean fix their problem too? No, couldn't do that.
Like take personal ownership of the situation and come up with a solution that works for you. Crazy, right? I do like how I'm going to read this. In an emailed statement, Birkinshaw apartment owner Homestead Land Holdings said it sympathizes with residents who are experiencing higher temperatures in their homes during the heat wave. The Birkinshaw, like most buildings of its era, was not constructed with in-suite air conditioning, Michael Turkelis, Homestead Land Holdings Operations Vice President, said in the statement. For residents who wish to have cooling in their suite, portable floor standing air conditioning units are an effective way for residents to achieve this. It's a nice way of saying, if you think it's a fucking problem, solve it. Nobody made people rent there. It's not like there was a gun to their head saying you have to rent this fucking place. They chose to rent that place, and now they're mad because of what they agreed to. Own the fucking consequences of your own decisions. If you want a place that doesn't have air conditioning, you either live with it or get a fan or get a portable air conditioner.
There's no market case for EVs. Global manufacturing company Umicore has paused construction of a battery plant in Ontario as the company rethinks its plans, part of a broader response to slowing demand for electric vehicles. Quoted, "We are not halting our plant, but are delaying spending on its construction until we've reached the conclusions of the review of our battery materials business as the EV market has worsened."
So they got a bunch of money from the federal government and promises of money from the provincial government in Ontario, which, by the way, when are they going to just admit that they're not actually conservatives? They're just straight up fucking liberals. Like, Ontario's premier also shrugged off concerns that the plant closure signals any threats to the federal and provincial government's $2 billion worth of investment across several EV projects throughout Ontario. It's way the fuck more than that, by the way. He said the governments are confident that more and more EV sales will happen. It has increased worldwide and it's going to continue to grow. Why the fuck are we banking on this? Like, these people were promised billions of dollars if they build a fucking EV battery plant. And even with the billions of dollars of free fucking money, they said, you know what? We got to fucking take a step back and figure this out.
No G-strings attached. Thousands are calling for G-string bikinis to be banned in water parks There are fresh calls for G-string bikinis to be banned after thousands of Australians weighed in on the controversial swimwear item, with many declaring the garment offensive and too revealing. You might as well bring it up, Twos. There you go.
There. That's a girl in a bikini.
Actually, scroll to the girl in pink. That's the one where the this is where all the outrage was on.
That's a nice butt.
That's a nice butt. I mean, of all the butts to be upset about, I mean, sure, be upset about.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm okay with G-string bikinis. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I don't know if I care.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's just it's funny. Now they said I'm female and I find it uncomfortable to see, to be honest, offensive and disgusting, extremely appropriate around little children. Isn't it supposed to be nice to leave something to the imagination? Look, no one's making you do anything, right? No one's making anybody wear these. Many were against it, arguing that those with an issue should mind their own business. We're Australia. Wear what you want. Other countries in the world have very strict laws which govern what people can wear. We are better than that. I think that's fair. And also, Australia is so fucking hot that nobody lives more than like 50 clicks in from the ocean. If there was one place in the world where tiny little stringy bits of clothing would be acceptable, it should be fucking Australia.
sure. Happy news. Brett Kissel. I've got a lot of time for Brett Kissel.
Yep. I
He
really, it's funny. You talked about that episode you did with him probably for months.
Yes.
And totally worth it. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out.
Yeah, well, he tweeted out, Cooper Allen invited me to New York to play at this awesome county fair as his opener. I've been playing for 15 years on a big scale in Canada, and I bet you not a single person here knows me or my music. It's great to be a rookie again. It's like playing all these songs for the first time all over again. So that's Brett Kissel on Twitter. That's pretty cool. And the one thing about having a guy like him come in is, I've said this lots, his stage show is, I don't know, second to none. I mean, certainly there's going to be big acts that probably have a better stage show, but Brett Kissel on stage was something. It was something to see.
I like the fact that he's just being so refreshingly positive about this. I've said a bunch of times, you've got people who make it big and they'll do Rogers or they'll do the Dome or whatever big arena. Like, how cool would it be if you were just at some neighborhood pub and Garth Brooks walked in and grabbed the mic and just did a few acoustic songs or something like that, right? That would be pretty neat. And now you've got a guy who's actually got an opportunity to do something relatively like this. Like, he's going to be doing the opener at a county fair. No one's even going to be listening to the show. It's either going to be like during the afternoon when everybody's doing other shit, or it's going to be early on in the dance and everybody's just milling around and getting their drinks and stuff. And he's just going to be out there wailing on it and putting on a great show. And they're going to be like, what the heck? I think this would be really cool to see.
Here's some funny. Diana Thomas said, I don't know why more men aren't wearing them. Talking about G-strings.
Probably because your balls hang out.
Because nobody wants to see that. If you want to see that, go to the Toronto.
You've either got one ball hanging out the side, or it'll just split them right the middle. And then Glenn says, must be country, never heard of them. Yeah, it's country. Believe it or not, there's other genres of music other than classical. You seem like a classical music guy, Glenn.
Oh, boy. All right. Tell you what, I don't know how we did on the first one of having this guy back. I don't know if you guys want me back in for another week or not. The dog says yes. Community notes, too. So you got any for us this week?
Well, we just got the Sundry Music Festival coming up the weekend, August 16th. We've been talking about that every week. And that's all I got on my end. I didn't give you a reminder or anything like that. So anything happening in or around you or around Lloyd?
Well, there probably is, but I'm going to be honest. I I'm clueless this week. As you can tell from my background, I'm not exactly in the studio just yet. Soon enough, but not yet.
That would make a good studio, though.
Oh man, I tell you what, I showed twos. I would do it if I didn't think I was going to screw up a couple things. But the view I got out to my right is pretty spectacular right now. So,
Yeah, you're about 20 yards probably off the beach.
Probably less than that. I'm probably 15 yards from the water.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Splitting hairs, but fair enough. Yeah, you're gonna go full Fraser Institute on me on that one. Okay, fine. The point is that you're right there at the water.
Yes, I am. Zane says Airdrie Car Show August 10th, and they have Zeeb's Battle of the Techs engine race out there. Ooh, that would be interesting to see. I won't be around for that, Zane, but people should go check that out. I've seen videos he sent me on it, and I think that would be pretty cool for people if they're looking for something new or interesting to go check out.
That is next Saturday. Zane, can you do me a favor and text me and remind me I don't have anywhere to write any of this down right now? All my paperwork is downstairs. Irma Days this weekend. Parade goes around twice. I mean, Irma's not a big town. It would make sense that it went around twice.
Joe Mama. Loved having you back, Shaun. Hey, thank you. The two of you have a great way of reporting the news. So informative and hilarious. Thanks for another fun episode. Well, you're welcome. I don't know. I assume you're talking about twos. I don't know how much he irritates me most days. So I just try and suck it up for you fine folks. That's what I do. You know?
All right. And Glenn Giebert says metal. So apparently he listens to metal.
Twos, 118 in the books. I'm happy to be back, good sir. It's been
it was really good to have you on here, Shane Newman.
Michelle Krieger says Bow Valley Jamboree in Oxbow, Saskatchewan, August 10th. And I thought I better show this to all the watchers of the podcast.
It says Daddy's Home Trump 2024, and it's a picture of Donald Trump with some sunglasses on and the White House and some other building in the background.
I went and stood outside. I didn't get in. There was a Trump rally about an hour from my in-laws. I was like, oh, I didn't know about it. So I thought, oh, they'll never get it.
Yeah, Shaun, we heard about that. Yeah, there was a Trump rally and some guy who's a pretty poor shot showed up while you're touring around the States. Yeah, it's been all over the news.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here's my shirt, though.
Oh, yeah, Iron Man. The boys from Saskatoon.
Yeah.
So shout out to those as well.
Deck Tunes at Big Mers in Dundurn on Sunday. You know what, guys?
Fun.
It's awesome that you guys are doing this right at the end of the show, but throw us some messages beforehand.
But maybe that's how we should start, twos. Maybe we should say, hey, listen, is there any community notes? Fire them in the chat so we can catch them up at the end. Just a thought.
That would be good, too.
Just a thought.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
That's basically it. Get the hell out of here. Go
118.
Go
enjoy.
lake.
Yeah, go enjoy your day. I'm going to enjoy mine as well. Twos, happy to be back. Happy to see all you fine folks. And we'll be back next week.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.